It's the win. Listen, laugh, and learn and understand. Hope, believe that you can. It's the Women's Information Network. It's the win.
Welcome to the Win Show. We're so glad you joined us. I'm Paula Fellingham, CEO of the Women's Information Network, thewinonline.com. We're the online home for all women, all ages, a community of women helping women. Our hosts are Heather Anderson. She's a runner-up for Miss USA. Laura Lee Christensen is the Executive Vice President of the WIN. And Kim Coles is an actress, comedian, and wonderful speaker. Our guest today is Dr. Jean LaCour. She's a popular trainer, author, and international consultant who's created extensive online training in addiction, counseling, and recovery coaching. She's a tireless international advocate for people in recovery and for people who work in addiction. She has recently launched the Recovery Heroes Initiative. Welcome. Oh, we're so glad you're here.
I'm just so delighted to be here, Paula and Laura Lee and everyone. Thank you for having me today.
Yes.
Jean, when Paula and I first met you, we were just utterly impressed.
Yes.
I mean, she has a Vita sheet that is miles long and credentials that we could take all day to go into.
Yes.
But what I love is the title of your show, Prevailing Wins in Recovery. Tell us about that and the relationship between prevailing and the winning.
Well, actually, it came out of our work on the Recovery Heroes Initiative, which honors real people who save real lives around the world. Because people are caught in the midst of addiction. There's darkness, disappointment, despair. And it envelops people to such an extent that people focus on that many times. But we know so many people who've overcome, so many people whose lives have really been changed and deepened by their recovery experience. So when I think about prevailing wins, it's really the play on the word prevailing winds, which is a wind that blows consistently across a place on the earth. So in the midst of addiction, there is a prevailing wind where people do get well, they're healed, they're made whole, and it's quite an experience of victory and courage. So that's what we're honoring in this show.
Oh, and we honor you.
Oh,
this is just a wonderful, wonderful thing to help people.
And we all may have a friend or family member who has struggled with addiction, but you're saying that this is a national and an international problem.
Yes, Kim, it is. And I'd just like to share some statistics. I know people don't need to hear a lot of them, but there's some that are incredibly impactful. In the United States, addiction costs our economy $500 billion every year.
Really?
1 out of 4 college students meets criteria, the clinical criteria for substance abuse or addiction.
1 out of
1 out of 4?
1 out of 4.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow, 25%.
Wow.
Of college, of our brightest and best. And then you look at jails. 8 out of 10 people who are in jail or in prison are there for drug-related offenses.
Really?
Really?
8 out of 10.
And just the cost to all of our society is really overwhelming. So when you know that it's proven to be a source and to fuel domestic violence, child abuse and abandonment, school dropout, as you know, traffic fatalities. It goes on and on. There's no good news there. But when we talk internationally, this was a shock to me. I've trained now in over 14 nations, including Colombia, Russia, Pakistan, India, and quite extensively in Egypt, where we have a lot of programs going there now. And the spread of substance abuse and HIV/AIDS is accelerating rapidly in every region. And last year, I had the privilege, Paula, of being part of the United Nations Task Force on Drugs and Crime.
Oh, good
And
for
we
you.
got to formulate 3 resolutions about the work to help not just the Rambo type things with the, the guns and the helicopters, but how to get to prevent the use and how to work more in treatment.
That is huge. For those
You know,
who
on
have done...
a personal note, I lost my little brother to a drug overdose a few years ago, and it's so prevalent. People in my community keep thinking, oh, it's someone on the other side of town, but really, it's the kid at the other end of the hall So my goal in life is to prevent kids from ever starting. And so you're my hero. I love that you do this.
Thank
But
you.
I just want to know what kind of advice you could give to parents maybe who already have a child who's going through it. I know when my brother was going through it, my parents didn't know what to do, and they got advice from everyone that ranged from A to Z, and they just thought, I don't know what the right thing is. Like, what would you tell to our viewers?
Oh my goodness.
Just a few.
That's a few shows involved. But you know, as we talk about, you know, the age, you know, of the child involved, what are the resources? What is the peer group? What is the drug of choice? All of those things would have to do with, you know, with you know, specific advice. So I really don't want to go into details in that way, but to say that if we can deal with what you're doing, the stereotypes, the stigma, the secrets, you know, all of this that's wrapped around the shame that has to do with a friend or family member that's involved with substance abuse. If we can deal with that, then we can get to the problem, because that's what really keeps the problem under wraps and complicates
People don't want to admit that it's my child.
Yes, absolutely. So things don't get dealt with appropriately, like they would deal with juvenile diabetes, or they would deal with some other kind of problem. And so just what you're doing to talk about it, to say here on the win, I have a family member. And anyone who works in addiction will tell you most of us are in this work because we've lost a loved one. And that's really what I am so excited about the win for, that we can address these issues for women who will then have the information sooner rather than later.
So we're going to find hope on your show.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Jean, besides the personal relationships that are affected, how does it affect business?
Good question. And actually, I just began to speak with business groups last year after doing government and professional and lots of addicts all over the world. But I found that, again, a statistic, 78% of people who admit to abusing drugs or alcohol are employed. And that $500 billion number we mentioned, businesses bear the burden of that. Through what? Lost productivity, lost wages, so many other things, low morale. But there are many things that businesses can do to protect themselves. They can get the facts to their supervisors and managers. They can set a standard for a drug-free workplace. They can train their employees about the risk of substance abuse under times of high stress, and they can promote wellness. So there are many things that can be done.
I have one more question.
Sure.
Since we are the Women's Information Network, do you see women playing a special role in this process of?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And that's really, when I met you all, I got so excited that women are change agents, and women are healers, you know, naturally. But this change agent in the community, in their families, in business. And so really my intent is to inspire and to equip thousands of women around the world to really embrace your power as a recovery hero and really to experience your own prevailing wins in recovery.
Oh, that is so
That is
precious.
inspiring.
Yes. Oh, we are so looking forward to listening to your shows and learning the stories of the women whom you'll help.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
You're so
Jean
welcome.
LaCour, Dr. Jean LaCour. And we appreciate you joining us. We invite you to visit thewinonline.com, where you're always going to get solutions, share wonderful ideas that you have, and really connect with women like Jean and others worldwide. Now let's live joyfully with passion and purpose. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.
It's the Women's Information Network. It's the win.